You know, when we think about geopolitics, we usually think of armies and treaties, right? But sometimes the biggest power plays are made with concrete and steel. That's exactly what we're talking about today. Egypt's incredible under-canal tunnels. They're way more than just infrastructure. They're a silent strategic weapon that has completely redrawn the map of the Middle East. So, let's get into it.
Okay, so it really all kicks off with his quote from President El-Sisi. On the surface, it sounds pretty straightforward, right? We have connected Sinai to the Delta. But then he says, pay attention. That's the real kicker. He's sending a message. So the big question is, what was he telling the world, and more importantly, his neighbors, to pay attention to? To really get why this is such a big deal, you have to rewind to before 2016. Picture the Sinai Peninsula. It's this huge, strategically vital part of Egypt, but it was basically an island. It was completely cut off from the mainland by the Suez Canal. And this wasn't just a traffic problem, you know? It was a massive, flashing red light for national security.
I mean, just try to imagine the logistics here. You want to get anything into Sinai, supplies, people, even troops, well, good luck. The main bridge, always getting shut down for security reasons. The ferries, you could be stuck in line for days. Not hours, days. And that one tunnel they had, the Ahmed Hamdi Tunnel, it was totally swamped. It created this insane bottleneck that just paralyzed everything. For the military, this was a disaster. Taking days to reinforce a position, in modern warfare, that's an eternity.
So look at the difference this makes. It's just staggering. What used to take days for the military to do now takes minutes. A commercial trip that was a total nightmare is now just a quick drive. We're not talking about a simple upgrade here. This is a complete game changer. It's a total reinvention of Sinai, flipping it from a vulnerable weak spot into a genuine fortress.
So the question is, how on earth did they do it? How do you solve a problem that massive? Well, the answer was to embark on one of the most ambitious engineering projects Egypt has seen in a long, long time. The mission was clear: build a massive, permanent artery under the canal and end Sinai's isolation for good.
And get this, they did it incredibly fast. The green light was given in July 2016, and for the next 3 years, you had 3,000 Egyptian workers and engineers on the job, basically 24/7. And by 2019, boom, it was finished. We're talking a record-breaking timeline. This wasn't just about building tunnels. It was a huge statement about Egypt's own industrial muscle and ability to get massive projects done.
And the scale here is just wow. They didn't just build a tunnel, they built 6 of them, a whole network. You've got 2 up north in Port Said, 2 more in the middle at Ismailia, and then 2 down south. This wasn't a patch job. This was like building an entire underground highway system, a brand new artery for the country.
But it's not just the number of tunnels, it's how they were built. The design is super clever. They dug these things 70 meters deep. Now you might be asking, why go so far down? Well, it's simple: security. At that depth, they're protected from pretty much any conventional attack from the surface. It means this critical link, this artery, stays open no matter what's happening up top.
Now, as you can imagine, a project like this doesn't come cheap. The price tag was a whopping 35 billion Egyptian pounds. That's a huge investment, and it tells you everything you need to know about how vital this was for Egypt. This wasn't just an infrastructure project, it was a top national priority.
Okay, so when you hear tunnel, you might just picture a big concrete tube, right? But these are something else entirely. They're called smart tunnels. And that's not just a buzzword. You have to think of them less like a road and more like a high-tech nerve center, totally integrated with technology to be as safe and efficient as possible.
So what makes them smart? Well, for starters, they've got advanced monitoring systems running 24/7. They use radar to manage the traffic flow perfectly. There are literally emergency rooms built right into the tunnels. The ventilation systems are super advanced to keep the air pure. The lighting adjusts automatically for safety and to save energy. And, of course, they have the best firefighting and rescue gear ready to go at a moment's notice. It's a completely self-sufficient, ultra-secure system. All right, so we've established this is an amazing piece of engineering, right? A secure, smart corridor. But if you think this was just about easing traffic, you're missing the real story. This is where it gets really interesting, because this entire project was a massive, calculated move on the geopolitical chessboard. And the message they were sending couldn't have been clearer. By literally tying Sinai to the rest of Egypt with concrete and steel, Cairo was planting a flag. They were saying, our sovereignty over this land is absolute. It is non-negotiable. The old idea of Sinai as some kind of remote, empty buffer, yeah, that's over. Done.
And you can bet that message was received loud and clear, especially next door in Israel. When the Israeli media looked at this, they didn't see a new road. They called it a strategic wake-up call. They knew instantly that this changed everything. The old balance of power, the one that had been in place for decades since Camp David, was suddenly and dramatically different.
See, it was never just about the tunnels. While the digging was happening, Israeli intelligence was watching a whole lot more going on. They saw military airports in Sinai getting huge upgrades. They saw massive numbers of Egyptian troops moving in. And then, the really big one, they saw new sites being built for ballistic missiles and top-of-the-line air defense systems. The tunnels were the key that made all of this other military buildup possible.
This new military posture has huge implications for the whole region, especially when it comes to a really sensitive topic. The idea, floated in some Israeli circles, of potentially moving Gazans into the Sinai. So you have to ask, how can a bunch of tunnels possibly prevent something like that?
Well, it's basically a strategic checkmate in 3 moves. Move 1. For years, Sinai was seen as this big, empty space, which made it vulnerable. Some saw it as an empty lot where you could solve other problems. Move 2. The tunnels completely flipped the script. They made it easy for Egyptians to move in, not just soldiers. People could now go there to live, to work, to build communities. And that leads to move 3, the checkmate. A Sinai that is full of Egyptian citizens, with a booming economy and a powerful military that's just minutes away. Well, that makes any idea of forced displacement strategically impossible. It's just not a viable option anymore.
So you see, the tunnels did so much more than just lock down a border. They sparked a complete rebirth for the entire peninsula. They took a place that was often seen as a forgotten corner of the country and turned it into a symbol of opportunity and national pride.
And it's not just the tunnels. They also built a new railway that goes right under the canal. Together, this network has created this seamless, unbreakable bond. Sinai is no longer way out there. It's now a fully connected, vital part of Egypt's economy and its future.
And you can see the results across the board. Economically, investment is flooding in for industry and tourism. Socially, Sinai is now a place where Egyptians want to live and raise families. From a security standpoint, counterterrorism efforts got a massive boost because troops can get there in a flash. And maybe the biggest impact of all is on identity. That feeling of being isolated is gone, replaced by a much stronger sense of national belonging.
There's this one quote that I think just perfectly sums up the whole strategic shift. It says, "The Israeli dream was shattered under the wheels of an Egyptian train crossing the canal every morning." It's such a powerful image, right? The very idea of Sinai being some kind of empty bargaining chip is just gone, erased by the simple, everyday reality of a train connecting it to the rest of the country.
And that really brings us to the core takeaway here. This whole story is a powerful reminder that sovereignty isn't just something you declare in a speech or draw on a map. Sometimes you have to build it. You forge it deep underground with concrete, steel, and the absolute will to create a new, undeniable reality.